So anyway, the Olive Garden has a sausage and peppers rustica dish, okay, where it's Italian sausage with peppers and or whatever, and then they have a sausage and peppers dish, which is way better, by the way, at Portofino's. And so the Portofino's is, I mean, it is fantastic, dude. I mean, it really is. It is fantastic. So I'm making it.
Virginia's in my top 5. So
Tony Elliott ain't gonna last.
No,
I don't know about that. They're gonna be pretty good. I think. I like their quarterback too. Their quarterback's top 5 in the league in the conference.
Yeah,
so,
but
so let me start it off with this since we're on the ACC. Right. This
so
is
let's pretend like let's pretend like we can put this up there. So anyway, go ahead, Drew. Sorry.
So we're on ACC. So this is like I said, this is episode 9. We're doing our college football preview series. Right. We're on the ACC right now. We did the Big 12 last week. I feel like we left some stuff on the table with the Big 12, especially considering Brendan Sorsby is now been granted his injunction by the judge in Lubbock, and he is now going to be able to play. And it's a sad day because now the NCAA cannot enforce anything anymore. They made it to where they can't. But
that's right. Because all you have to do is get a judge that is an alumni of your school.
Yeah.
And say, so, hey, South Carolina, we ought to make every rule that we want because we got tons of lawyers and judges. South Carolina and LSU, the 2 bigger law schools that have football programs.
I'll mention our dude.
Sucks.
Hey, I'll mention our dude without the name, but the judge, our friend, hey, he wouldn't do that for Kentucky. He wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't do that for Kentucky. Nope, he has some integrity. But this judge doesn't.
Let me give y'all this to start it off, just because.
Guaranteed.
I don't agree with him on everything, but
get some.
I love the way he kind of puts all this stuff together. So Clemson's Dabo Swinney has weighed in on the chaos surrounding college football, and this is his direct quote. Just going to
got a lot to say about him today. He's trying.
He says the only thing worse than having no rules is having rules you can't enforce or don't enforce. I don't think any of us thought we'd be in a world where there's no order. It's a much bigger conversation now. Even in the NFL, there are rules. You can't sign with the Browns and go practice for 2 weeks and the Dolphins call you up and say, hey, man, what are they paying you? Hey, we'll pay you $1 million more. Come on down here to the Dolphins. And then you go in there and say, hey, boys, I'm out.
He's right. There's tampering. It's crazy.
And
Dabo is 100% right there.
And Saban has been in Congress arguing this too and talking about how there needs to be some. Saban talked about how his first year under NIL he was given $2 million. The next year he was given 10, and then the next year he was given 17. And he's like, it's just there's no cap. It's just continuing to go up and up and up.
Yeah.
He said now we're at the point where we have $40 and $50 million rosters on these top teams. And so, it's a crazy state. Like I'm all for, athletes, getting shares of their name, image, and likeness. But I think we've gone way too far.
Yep. And I'm going to touch on a lot of this, but I'm going to save it for when I talk about each individual team. But remember I said that. I've said that in one of our previous podcasts. I said, listen, that cat's out of the bag. You're not getting it back in the bag. It's over. That is done.
Over. It is.
The only way that they fix it is to come is to do it the right way, is to come in and just hard shut everything down. Okay, probably upset and drive into a rage. 90% of the people that yell and whine, the people that have a job that are the normal, 85, 90% of the population, they'll be like, okay, they'll deal with it. They'll still watch college football. Everything's fine. But 90% of the 10% that have nothing else to do with their life are going to try and make issues for other people, and you can say, well, you're complaining. Okay, yeah, I'm complaining, but I'm not trying to take away from anybody or anything. I don't like paying the college, before NIL, you had stipends. First of all, if you are an elite player, you are going to college 100% for free. You're getting a stipend. You're eating, you always talk about equity or whatever. The same people who are complaining about, well, these kids need to get paid are the same people that are complaining about equity in that, well, this guy makes all this money, forget how hard he's worked. And then there's other people that can't pay their bills or afford health care. Okay. So you've got a college football player, okay, who, other than being able to play football, a lot of them do not belong in college. They're getting a free education. Okay.
Yep.
And they're eating better than 90% of the kids out there in college. You know, a lot of college kids are there, and they're supporting themselves. Their parents are doing everything they can to help. They're working a job. They're eating bologna and ramen noodles, and these kids are eating whatever all the time. They're in better dorms and better facilities. And you're like, well, whatever. All right. But they were given something. So now you're like, well, let's just pay them. All right. And let's just pay them. And then whatever happens, happens. No other rules to it. So what happens? Now one guy is making $3 million and another school says, we'll give you $7 million. So what does he do? He's gone, and you can't look at the kid and say, well, it's on him or whatever. If I'm doing my job and somebody says, hey, what are you making? Well, I make $100,000 a year. Well, we'll give you $500,000 to come work for us. No finish the day out, none of that,
No,
all right, fine, cool. Send me whatever I got to learn to do this job for you, whatever your database is, whatever your systems, I'll start now, forget it. These guys, they don't even got to pay me for the half a day I've worked.
I know.
So you can't get mad. So then to make it worse, if a kid isn't happy somewhere, even if he's getting paid or whatever, then, coach won't start me.
I think it's probably best if we start off by giving our rankings or our predicted order of finish, but we all should start at 17, work our way up to 6, maybe. I think really the top 5 teams are your only ones that have a shot in this conference, and we're gonna get into it like that. I'll start off first, and I'll work my way down, and then you two can go. And then once we get to our 6, once we get to our top 5, we can each talk about it a little bit further. So
that works for me.
First, there's 17 teams in the ACC, which is
an odd number.
Which is weird. So I got Syracuse and Stanford, the bottom 2. I don't have them winning. I have them 0-9 both in the conference.
Wow.
And this is me picking. I went through and did a picker where it gives me all the ACC games week by week, and I picked them. And this is what I ended up with. I have Boston College and North Carolina 15-14. They're both 1-7 in the ACC, 3-9 overall. I got Wake Forest at 2-7 because some ACC teams play 9 games and some only play 8, which is weird. But anyways, Florida State, Wake Forest, 12-13. Florida State, I just don't think they're good, and that's it is what it is. I don't think Wake Forest is. California, Cal, I have them 3-6 in the ACC, 5-7 overall, and then I got Virginia Tech at 10, 4-5 in the conference, and 6-6 overall. NC State at 9, 5-4 in the conference, 7-5 overall. Pittsburgh at 8, 5-4, 8-4, and Duke at 7, 5-4, and 7-5, which is funny because Duke won it last year, the ACC championship, but losing Darian Mensah and just some other people, they're not. And they didn't even go look for a replacement.
They lost him for the money.
Yep. 6, I got Georgia Tech at 6-2 and 8-4 overall. And then that's my 17 through 16. And then my top 5 teams we will get into once y'all go through y'all. So I'd do 17 through 6 or whatever. Take like the top 5.
I'm going to do my 7 through 17 different. I'm going to give you 2 tiers, okay? Wake Forest, North Carolina, Syracuse, Boston College, and Stanford. In the bottom, they're not going to a bowl. None of those teams are worth a flip. Not even worth spending a whole lot of time talking about. We can talk about other teams. So the next tier, I've got Florida State, Duke, North Carolina State, Virginia, California, and Pitt. Okay. Now, I think one of those teams, maybe 2, won't make a bowl, but the others probably will. They'll be in one of those, and they'll be like 6-6, 7-5. But none of those teams are relevant. None of those teams have a chance to compete in the ACC. None of those teams can get in the top 5. So that's my bottom part. And again, I'll talk about. I have a top 6, and I want to talk about 16, unlike you. So I would add one more. So one more thing. Hey, Soda Sunday, IBC root beer in the bottle. That's right. I asked Ace yesterday. I said, "Hey, what do you want?" And he goes, "Root beer." And I was like, "Oh yeah." And of course, it has to be root beer in the bottle. It has to be.
Yeah, I have mine broken up into 4 tiers. I have the rebuilding programs. At 17, I have Stanford, Wake Forest, Virginia, California, Boston College, North Carolina. Then tier 3, I have teams that I think can make a bowl, make that make that bowl run. Syracuse, Duke, Pittsburgh, NC State, Virginia Tech, and Florida State. And that is my 17 through 6. And then I have my top 5.
Okay.
All right. So I think we all are in the same ballpark of who our top teams are. Pretty evident.
Yeah, I've added a team in there that you guys probably don't have, and so that's the difference.
Virginia Tech.
All right, who? Yeah, I did
Because of Franklin.
Yeah, I got Virginia Tech in there.
Yeah, it's going to take a couple years for him to get anything going.
No, you're exactly right. But listen, all right, so let's talk about that real quick, just for a second, before we get into our top 5s. Okay, James Franklin won at Vanderbilt. He won at Penn State. Listen,
so is Clark Lee, but they don't.
I do not think a bunch about him. All right. I don't think he's a great person. All right. I think there's a lot of shenanigans that go on and he doesn't care about or whatever. But we're not picking, who do we like the best. We're picking who we think. And I think Virginia Tech is taking a big leap forward this year. Look, they had a good defense last year. Okay. So, and I'm going to talk about that when I get to them. But I think Virginia Tech, 3 years from now, it'll be a different tune. As long as nothing crazy happens that forces him to have to leave or whatever, because he is going to allow the problems around him to grow. Because human nature is, you heard that you give an inch, you take a mile. Okay, it's just like in the Spurs and the Knicks series. We don't talk a lot of NBA here, but congratulations to the Knicks, well-deserved win. They had to play 8 guys. There were 3 teams they were playing against. They played against the Spurs. They played against the guys in the black and white stripes. But the Knicks earned that thing. But what happened is the Spurs got away with this foul and this foul and this foul and this flagrant and this flagrant, and it got worse because that's what humans do.
Well, there. I don't know where Ace went. Let me go ahead and.
You're gonna go first, Drew?
Yeah, I'll do my 5. In 5th place, I have Virginia, and there's really a couple reasons why I think this is their only year to really even get a chance, and I think that they'll finish high. I think this is their chance. This is it. That's all they got. But a couple things I do like is a lot of even ACC assistant coaches have talked about how they're a fan, and that they said a lot of them will tell you to buy the stock on Virginia. But a big reason is, guys, they have a great quarterback in Bo Pribula.
They do.
I think he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks. I think Tony Elliott and his scheme be pretty well. Des Kitchings as an offensive coordinator is going to know how to use a quarterback like him. They've got some skill players like Rico Flores, Cameron Courtney at wide receiver who are good. They've got a good tandem of junior and senior running backs, Peyton Lewis and Jaquel Middlebrook. Their defense might be a bit of their weakness, but I mean, again, you got to think about this. You're playing in a conference that's not very good, that doesn't have an identity. And to me, looking at some of the talent they have and the coaching that they do have, honestly, man, I think this is the year that they can finish in the top 5 and go to a really good bowl. They're not going to get in the playoff. That's just what it is. I have them going 10-2 though, which is crazy. I have 3 10-2 teams in the ACC and 2 11-1 teams. But I have Virginia going 10-2, and just because of the way that they've scheduled, the scheduling is in the ACC. There's going to be the top 5 teams are going to get 9 or more wins. Okay, they just are. That's just the way it's set up. The rest of the teams are going to be below 8. But yeah, Virginia at 5. Now we're going to go to my 4th place team, and that is the Clemson Tigers. I have Clemson at 10-2, and even with that, I think it's. Look, this is a separate note, right? We're going to get to our SEC stuff, and we're going to talk about South Carolina. I have Clemson losing to Miami and LSU. 1 conference loss, 1 out of conference loss. I have them beating South Carolina. I don't know why. I'm not going to believe in South Carolina, and I'm never going to fall for the hype again. I don't care. They could say, hey, man, we went out and got Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith and, the best defensive lineman from Michigan and all this. We could have went out and got everybody in the transfer portal. And I'd be like, yep, probably 7-5. Okay, I am so over that. I've done it every year where I've bought into the hype of South Carolina, and I just get disappointed. And I'm not doing it this year. I'm just not. And we'll get to our South Carolina predictions when we get to the SEC, and you'll realize you're going to be like, damn, you're a South Carolina fan, Drew? Yeah, I am. I just don't believe in us. So, yeah, I have Clemson going 10-2, Miami and LSU as their 2 losses. Look, The strengths are the defense to me. However, I do think that they try to, and I'll get into this quote here in a second, but the defense will be a strength because they do have athletes, okay? Sammy Brown and Will Helt. I know Ace knows Sammy Brown. All right, great linebacker, right? Like, they have some skill on the defensive side. They have some great offensive playmakers. Bryant Wesco, TJ Moore, and Tyler Brown at wide receiver, great, right? Problem is the quarterback. They got Christopher Vizina, first time ever really taking the reins like this behind Cade. All right, I don't know how that's going to play out. Apparently, he's a starter. I think they have a good running back in Gideon Davidson, okay, who's only a sophomore. I predicted him to be the breakout player last year for Clemson. He wasn't, but he's still very talented. So Clemson has some holes, but they have a lot of strengths. And I'm going to give you this quote real quick because this is actually interesting. And I think this is something that Chief could even agree with. But this is an opposing ACC assistant coach when talking about Clemson. Okay. He said, it's almost like they overcoached their defensive players instead of letting them cut it loose and play. There were some schematic things where you felt like you could get them out of position. Usually teams that are really talented do a little less and just try to let the guys cut it loose. I think that's a problem. Their backup QBs didn't play much last year, and I didn't think they were very good. I'd be shocked if they were better on offense, even if they're coached better. When Clemson is good, their quarterback is really good. The same concepts that they ran in 2025, you can go back to the beginning when Sweeney got there, and the same thing. I don't think it was Garrett Riley's offense. It was essentially Chad Morris's offense being called by Garrett Riley. So Chad Morris is back as the offensive coordinator, brings my next point. But they've been running that same system ever since he left. They've never changed it. It's the same concepts. It's the same scheme and everything on the offense. So will Chad be able to, I don't know, work out the kinks and make it better? Maybe. I don't know. But like I said, we'll see. Number 3, I got Louisville. And I'm going to close this up. Just give me a second. But I got Louisville at 10-2, 8-1. They play 9 conference games, which is weird. But I got them at 8-1. Look, all right. Lincoln Kineholtz is their quarterback. He's a Ohio State transfer. If it wasn't for Julian Sayin, he'd probably be playing at Ohio State. But he transfers to Louisville. All right, good quarterback. They've got Isaac Brown, one of the best running backs in the conference. And they got Trayshawn Hurry, another one of the best receivers in the conference. They have a really, really good offense, okay? Their defense is going to be a little bit better, I guess. But I think what's going to carry them is a portal quarterback like Lincoln. And like I said, look, Louisville finished, second or third in the recruiting in the conference. All right. They got some really good players that came in. They recruit very well. I think this is the year that Louisville makes a run at the college football playoff. So I'm not saying they're going to get in, but they make a run, and they're one of the teams considered by the end of it. Number 2, I got SMU. I got SMU going 11-1. Now, they don't play Miami in the regular season. So they're going to go 9-0.
Schedules matter in a conference like that. It really
Schedule helps. Schedule for SMU is very, very favorable. It is one of the easiest schedules in the conference. They go 9-0, 11-1. Kevin Jennings, great quarterback. Okay, we've already seen what he can do at SMU. He's coming back in his third year. Third year as a starter with Rhett Lashley, one of the best offensive minds and scheme callers, play callers, whatever. They've got some really, 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 really good guys. So, like I said, SMU, number 2, all right, they got some transfer portal guys, but Kevin Jennings is going to be able to really, really work in this offense. He already knows the scheme. They like him. If he stays healthy, this will be a really good team. And then number 1, also undefeated in the conference, Miami. 9-0, 11-1 overall. I have Miami not going undefeated, though. I have Miami losing to Notre Dame because they play at Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's their toughest game.
That's it.
That's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
That's one I will definitely watch.
Obviously, Miami has Darian Mensah, ACC leading passer last year from Duke, won the ACC championship at Duke, and then, hey, here's your money. Bye. See you, Duke.
Yep,
and he goes to Miami. So they get Carson Beck, money, Darian Mensah, money. They spend, okay? Which is cool.
To be fair, too, not only are they getting the money, but there's a far better chance of going to the playoff with Miami than Duke. So,
yes.
But the money matters.
So Miami, number 1 team, Miami and SMU in the ACC championship. And like I said, I can tell you Miami probably will win that game. SMU goes in 11-2. Do they get in the playoff if they lost to Miami in the ACC championship? I don't know. We'll see. But we'll do that when we get to our playoff predictions after we finish up all the conferences. But there's my 5 through 1, Virginia 5, Clemson 4, Louisville 3, SMU 2, and Miami 1.
Ace, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go. So my top 5, I took you'll see my big 2 are just a little different than yours, Drew. And I do think I think that you have the safest take within your top 2 to 3. I think that's very fair. But I went from Georgia Tech. They're a team nobody wants to play. They're tough. They're physical. They got a really good roster. Coach Key, he's great. He's done so much for that program. They're starting to come up as an ACC contender. So I just think they're a better team than Virginia State, Virginia. Florida State.
You got them 5th, Ace, or 6th?
I got Georgia Tech 5th.
Okay.
Moving on to 4, I got Louisville. They don't have as much star power as like Miami or Clemson or SMU, but they have this coaching consistency, and they're just very disciplined team. I think they're a team that rarely beats themselves, and they've harbored some really good players, and I think they could make it deeper in the ACC this year. All right, the big 3 you want to talk about? I have SMU at 3. Kevin Jennings, gives them.
He's trying to get brownie points with the Clemson fans in our family. That's what he's trying to do.
I just think this is what was sense for me.
And then number 2 is Miami.
I think they have the most explosive offense overall.
Yeah.
And it's
SMU?
SMU. Yep. That's just
Miami's gonna have something to say about that. But
just where I put them here. The SMU is going to be able to score on anybody in this conference, even though I think their defense is probably middle of the pack. Mm-hmm. Their offense is definitely top 3, and if not the most explosive. So we'll love to see where that goes. And at number 2, I have the Clemson Tigers. Obviously being a South Carolina fan, one of the biggest things is like, how do you feel about Clemson fans, your rival team? And Clemson's a team you can never count out. Just because you have Dabo Swinney, legendary coach, regardless what you say, think about Clemson. They win. The culture they have over there wins. I know some players over there.
Frodo is legit coach.
I know what it's like. He's a legit coach. And I think they have the best defense in the ACC. I'm looking at it. I just think top to bottom, between the D-line, linebackers, and safeties, DBs, yes. They have the best defense in the conference. Miami's a close number 2, but they have the best defense. All right, that's fine. Hey, you can think that.
Hey, go, have your opinion.
Their defense keeps them
Miami
in games.
is by far the best defense. It's not even close.
So, Ace, you do not have Louisville in the top 5.
I do. I have them at 4. Louisville's at 4.
Okay.
Yeah, Georgia Tech, Louisville, SMU, Clemson, and Miami.
Yes.
Okay.
And at number 1, I have the Miami Hurricanes, because this is the best team. They got Darian, that guy just coming off ACC championship win. Best quarterback in the conference. They have the money, talent, as we see. Offense, defense, they have the talent. They don't really have any true weaknesses, I see. And just look at their recruiting and transfer portal they get in. Not even just having to pay for players. If I'm a good player and I know I can go win, I want to go to Miami right now if I was in the ACC. So they're just in a really good position. So, and then Mensa, that guy matters. That guy's going to be he's the staple of all this. If they didn't have Mensa, Miami would be like 3 or 4 on this list. But because they have him, I have to stack him up there. So, but yep, elite talent, and they have the best quarterback in the conference. So hard to say they won't win. And the second best defense in the conference. Clemson still has the best. Sorry. I know defensive. I know a lot of Clemson defensive guys personally, so I can't say no.
Yeah, he wants to keep the brownie points flowing with those guys.
No. It's just how it is, bro. Hey, like I said, if South Carolina came into this conference, I would be ranking us like 4 or 5 right now.
Sammy Brown told Ace to say that they're the best defense, or else he's going to give him a wedgie.
I don't personally know Sammy. Okay, I've shook his hand. I've met the guy, but I've never actually had a real conversation with him. But no, I have some other guys in that defense that I know.
Yeah.
I don't care to mention.
All right, so I'm up then. So in the 8, I have 6 instead of my top 5. I did 6, and at number 6, I have the Clemson Tigers. First of all, they do have they got Wesco and TJ Moore, 2 really good receivers coming back. At tight end, they're dead. nothing there. We'll see what happens at running back. They're going to have to. They got some transfers. Now, Dabo had 10 transfers this year. Okay, that's more than he's ever had. He's still way below the average, but that's more than he's ever had. So he's trying. He's brought in a couple pieces that could help. Here's the issue, though. Okay, they brought back Chad Morris. Great. Okay, I'm confused, Drew. Well, I'm not confused, but I'm saying this for effect. But how many national championships did they win when Morris was calling the plays there?
0.
Okay. All right. So as an offensive coordinator, I have as many national championships as Morris. Okay. Look at what he did since there. He went to Arkansas, nothing or whatever. I mean, so I just don't think, I think Morris has a decent system. I've listened to the guy at some of the camps. Okay. He has some good philosophies or whatever, but he's not the guy. All right. He had this great teams that 2 years in a row just rolled through the ACC, slapping people around. And then they went up against South Carolina defenses that just put them in the ground. And he had players. I mean, one of the top NFL receivers of the past 10 years, Nuke Hopkins. They had Sammy Watkins, not as good in the NFL, but in college, and then they had, Renfro. They had a lot of talent. Okay. They had a good offensive line. They had Mike Williams. They had running backs. I mean, Ellington is one of the top probably 25 running backs in the history of the ACC. Okay. Andre Ellington. They had some players. All right. And they only beat us one time with him there. Okay. Or twice. I'm sorry, twice. They beat us twice with him there. And it was Deshaun. So, now Deshaun went to Clemson, partly because of Dabo, but mostly because of Chad Morris. That's a fact. Okay. So he helped to get him in there, but I don't think he made him any better. I think it was more Deshaun Watson and the team lifting up him. Okay. So I don't trust him as an OC. I don't trust him in big games. I don't trust, I think he can scheme up and stuff, but a scheme is only good for one half if you're playing another good team. Okay. One half. If you're, if it's good for an entire football game, your talent is way better than the other guy, or the other coaches are just not up to snuff. Okay. That's the only way. So I don't think that helps. All right. I think last year, I think what you said, I think a lot of times they try to scheme too much and they don't allow their players on defense. I think it's one of Tom Allen's things, is trying to be too hard on his scheme. I've seen that a lot. I've coached with people that are like that. So that's just my opinion is that I don't believe in them. I don't think any of their coaches are at any position or top 10 except maybe Dabo at head coach. But Dabo is not going to be very good at scheming. You saw what happened when he used to interfere early on. Okay. So, it's just not a good thing. Now, is Vicini going to be the quarterback? And if he is, how long does he stay the quarterback before Tate Reynolds takes over? I'm just going to tell you, Vicini had one game against Pittsburgh. I think that he was pretty good, but Pittsburgh, average team. I just don't see it. I've watched him. I don't think this Vicini is a 4-star. Okay, great. What happened to all the 5-star quarterbacks that Clemson used to get? And I think he's a bumped up 4-star. I just don't like the guy. Tate Reynolds is a better talent. He's a better player. You can say, well, you haven't seen him yet or whatever. Look, you watch a guy play. One guy has more tools than the other guy. Okay. Now, what he does at this level, of course, we'll see, but that's going to matter a lot. Clemson lost 9 people to the draft. They had 9 people drafted. How does 9 people drafted translate to 7 and 6? You explain that to me. Okay. All right. Something's wrong somewhere because they're not playing elite talent. They're playing in the ACC. They are given 5 games every year. Okay. Usually used to be more than that. This is what I have. I have Clemson. So I have Clemson losing. On their schedule, I have 5 losses. Okay. LSU, Miami, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and Florida State. Those are losses. I have 2 toss-ups, Duke and South Carolina. So I have them 5-7 to 7-5. All right. And they may finish 7th or 8th. Okay.
That'd be great, but
I have them 6th in the ACC.
Okay. This
guy's smoking crack right now, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
You think
All right.
Florida State beats
Which sounds good. Listen, the defense is also severely depleted. They have Helt and they have Sammy Brown. Okay. And they got a couple of okay DBs, but that's it. Okay. Helt, you can scheme around him and he's blockable. Okay. Better players will block him. Better tackles will block him. Okay. You can chip, you can take him out. Okay. Sammy Brown, he's one guy. I just don't think their defense is that good. So I have Clemson at 6th. At 5th, I have Georgia Tech. Okay. Good coach. The problem with Georgia Tech last year, because Haynes King is an absolute stud.
They don't have him.
I think that it's Haynes. I know he's gone, but they have the other guy I'm talking about. I think that the two best quarterbacks last year were Haynes King and Fernando Mendoza. They got Mendoza's brother, so if that works out,
Alberto is just as good as Fernando.
That's I don't know, but I have them. I have them 8-4 and 6-2 in the conference. Justice Haynes is an absolute beast. All right.
Wait, what team did it say?
Georgia Tech. Their defense gave up 23.4 points a game last year. Okay, that will come down. All right. They're well coached. They almost beat BYU in the Pop-Tart Bowl. And the only 2 games they lost last year was to Texas Tech, who, was a machine. So I have losses to Tennessee, Virginia Tech, Louisville, and Georgia. So I have them 6-2 in the ACC. I have them 5th. I think their ceiling is 4th. I think they could be 7th or 8th, but I have them 5th. 4th, I got SMU. Okay. The schedule is the easiest out of everybody. Virginia Tech is their toughest game, other than they got to play Notre Dame. Okay. But that's out of the conference. They don't play Miami. They don't play Louisville. They don't play Clemson. So, it sets up for them. They don't play all the other teams that are good. Like I said, Kevin Jennings, great talent in his 3rd year. That's important. Okay. You don't see a lot of guys that are in for 3 years as a starter and in the same system. Okay. Rhett Lashley is a great offensive mind. I would have them higher, but the problem is, they lost a little bit. Now they work the transfer portal, and the thing is, can Rhett Lashley get this team to be cohesive? Okay. I think in a lot of team sports, football and basketball, particularly, chemistry matters. Okay. And if he can get that chemistry there, because he's got a lot of guys coming in from the portal and he's got some good recruits, he could turn it into something else. Number 3, go ahead, bring on the booze, I got Virginia Tech. All right. I'm not a big fan of James Franklin as a person, but the guy wins. Okay. The guy wins. Now, they have a stretch.
Except the big ones.
That's right. They have to go. You can't say he beat Ohio.
Except the big games.
All right. So they play Clemson, okay, on October 24th.
They lose.
They're off Halloween week. And that's at Clemson. Then they go to SMU. And then 2 weeks after that, they go to Miami. That's the hard part. Okay. Okay. So let's say
you already have them losing 3 games.
All right. Let's say that they lose all those games. All right. Okay. All right. Then okay. So they're probably going to be 4th or 5th in the SEC, which is higher than you guys have them. I think they win all the rest of their games. I think they surprise somebody and they take one of those games. All right. Most likely Clemson. Okay. I think they beat Clemson. Okay. I think that they have a really good chance to beat SMU. Now they're not beating Miami. So, Brent Pry is a great defensive coordinator. Okay. They kept him, he took over as an interim or whatever. And so Franklin kept him, the offense, they have really good tight ends, really good running backs. Okay. Hawkins is a stud. What happens, that offense is more ball control. They're going to give the defense a little bit more of a break. I think they're going to do what doesn't happen a lot nowadays is the offense and the defense complement each other. So, I think a lot more than what you think. Now, the ACC has 4 teams ranked in the top 25. So that's my 3. Of course, so I have Miami and Louisville left. Miami is 7th in the preseason. Louisville is 18th. SMU is 20, and then Clemson is 24 in the preseason. Okay. Now, since World War II, okay, in the poll, and all you had then was the AP poll. All these others have come up, but in the AP poll, okay, since they moved to because there was 20, but since they moved to the top 25 in like the 70s, I think at least 5 teams that were ranked in the first poll were not in the final poll. It's usually more than that, but at least 5.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 teams weed out because there's no way to predict, especially teams like 50, top 10. Okay. But teams 15 through 25, some of those teams are going to go away. I mean, look, what was South Carolina ranked last year? 13th in the preseason, 4 wins. So just as an example. So I actually think that it's going to shake out different. And I think that they will at some point in the season have 5 teams ranked. Okay. The problem for Clemson is they're going to lose right away. They're 24th. They're going to drop out. Okay. So, but I think that at some point, Miami, Louisville, Virginia Tech, SMU, and Georgia Tech will all be ranked. Okay. So that brings me to 2. I got Louisville. Okay. Isaac Brown is, in my opinion, a lot of the good running backs. Isaac Brown is the best running back in the ACC. Okay. Dude is tough. You know, 8 yards a game he averaged last year, 8 yards a carry. I mean, you know, and you know, they're off, you know, they're good coach, good coordinator. I have them starting 0-1. Okay. And that's going to be a little of a problem. SMU and Georgia Tech, again, they don't play Miami, you know, that a little bit better for them. So, but I have them starting 0-1. They play Ole Miss first game of the season. All right. Yeah. So you take a top 5 now, ACC team, top 5 SEC team. If they could find a way to beat Ole Miss, but they won't. But if they could set themselves up for 10 wins, maybe 11 wins. Okay, and it's possible they run the table. If they beat SMU and they beat Georgia Tech, they beat Ole Miss. There's not a lot of other places for them to lose. Okay, so and then number 1. And this was the easy. I mean, I had no doubt about this whatsoever. It's Miami. Like you said, they go and get Darian Mensah. So basically, we need a quarterback. Okay. Well, you know, let's go offer this guy some money. So they get Carson Beck. Next year, well, he's gone. We need another quarterback. Okay. Well, let's give this guy a bunch of money. And he comes. And it is better to come to Miami if you want to go to the playoffs. Miami, Duke has no shot. Miami has a legitimate shot. Okay. I think the Louisville-Miami game is going to be very, very good in the ACC championship, and I think that's what it is. I don't think there's anybody else that SMU, maybe Virginia Tech. Go ahead and laugh. But other than that, it's Louisville and Miami playing for the ACC championship. Okay, they don't play SMU they don't play Louisville. So Miami is handed a little bit of a bonus there. I think Notre Dame is the only game on there that I would pick them to be a toss-up. I think they're 11-0, and then what happens with Notre Dame? All right. Yeah. I think they're going to beat Notre Dame. I think they're going to be undefeated. I think they're probably going to be. I mean, honestly, the Big Ten, the SEC, is not going to produce an undefeated team. So I think Miami may very well be the number 1 overall seed. Okay, so they've got. I made a couple notes here, you know. I mean, hey, Tooney is the most dangerous threat in college football. All right. Dude is legit, you know. And then what they do, they go out and they get themselves more receivers. You know, they got Berkshire from Duke, so they got 2 Duke players. They go and they get Ventrevious Jacobs from South Carolina. They get Cam Vaughn from West Virginia. The only problem Miami have is they have to replace Reuben Bain Jr. Now, that ain't easy. All right. They are not going to get the same production, even though they got some studs coming in. It'll be close. But between Reuben Baines Jr. and Akeem Mesidor, 22 sacks and almost 40 tackles for loss. They ain't going to replace that. So the defense will take a little step back. I think Darian Mensah is better by a sight than Carson Beck. Okay, so at the most important position on the field, they took a huge leap forward. So I don't see why, and they were the runner-up last year. All right, they did what everybody else did. They ran into an absolute buzzsaw in Indiana, a perfect combination of everything. And otherwise, they could have been the national champs. So they will be one of the top 4 seeds. I think 1 or 2. If they beat Notre Dame, they're undefeated.
I got a question. If Darian Mensah went to Clemson, where do you think Clemson would finish?
Oh, I'd probably move them up to. Yeah, I'd probably move them up to 1, 2, or 3. I mean, and that's the big. So that's one of the big things.
So you think the quarterback is that much? Hold on. So you think the quarterback is that much of a difference? All right.
Okay.
Then look at Christopher Vizina this year. There you go.
All right. In the NFL,
if the quarterback play, hey.
Bro, he's not Darian Mensah. What are you saying right now?
If you put C.J. Bailey and give them to Clemson, and you don't put Clemson top 3 with a for sure good quarterback, you're stupid. So the reason you guys are keeping Clemson down is this quarterback idea.
Oh my God!
Like you don't think Clemson could come out with a decent quarterback?
So you're saying Christopher Vizina is a for sure quarterback?
I'm not saying he's for sure. No, I'm not saying he's for sure.
So what is your point?
You're basing the for sure quarterback safety.
Yeah, what he's saying is you got them rated so high with the questionable quarterback, right, Ace?
And they're only at 4.
Me?
Yeah. Are you talking about me?
He has Clemson second. You have Clemson second, right, Drew?
I have 4.
I do.
No, Ace has Clemson second. Okay. All right.
Yes.
I get it.
What I'm trying to ask is, what is Ace's point here? What are you getting at?
My point is, because Miami has for sure this great quarterback, we objectively we know he's great.
Yes, they're number 1.
Take the team
seen
away.
Him play in the same conference.
Okay, take the team away. Yeah.
Okay. So why is NC State not up here then? Because they have CJ Bailey, who I believe is the second best quarterback in this conference.
Okay. Who do they have outside of CJ Bailey? They have nobody who's projected first team or second team all ACC. Nobody.
Nope.
All right.
So that's what I'm saying, right? There's nobody else. But yes, you can sit here and be like, well, yeah, Miami's number 1 because they have Darian Mensah and they have the best quarterback. Cool. But Miami also has, I don't know, like 7 or 8 other players.
They also have the best
ACC.
playmaker in the country in Toomey. Okay.
Like, that's why. For a reason I'm not high on NC State is, 1, they recruit like shit. Okay, so they didn't bring in anybody very well. They didn't do well in the transfer portal. Yes, CJ Bailey is good, but CJ Bailey is not enough. He's not enough to solely put them over the hump, right? If you put Darian Mensah on NC State, they would still finish around the same because he just doesn't have the help and the ability, right?
He could have won them 2 more games.
He could, yeah,
in that conference, and that he could win them that much.
Sure,
yes.
But that moves them from 10 to 8. Big whoop. You're still not getting in the playoff, and you're probably barely making a bowl, regardless.
He would move Clemson from 6 to 2 or 3 for me. Okay, if you move.
Yes, because Clemson has a lot more. Clemson has more of a supporting cast than in someone like NC State. That's why going for Mensah to go to Clemson, you could push them up immediately because they have way more talent.
So if Clemson locks in with this quarterback thing, let's say they come out and Vizina comes out and he's just great, man.
Hey, what? Maybe Tate Reynolds takes over week 2 or 3 and he's the next Trevor Lawrence. I mean,
that's true.
Possibly, we don't know.
Yeah.
So
here's the issue.
I'm willing to bet that as a better possibility than.
But the thing with Clemson is both Dabo and Chad Morris will be very reluctant to turn it over to a freshman right away. Okay,
but
both of them will.
They will. But you know this, Ace, right?
I wouldn't.
If Clemson lives and dies by their quarterback, and they have for the last 12 to 13 years.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yes.
If they do not have Dabo without a generational quarterback, is 7-5 historically around that range. He is.
I agree.
And is Christopher Vizina a junior who's getting his first opportunity? Is he a generational? No, he's not.
Well, either that or if he's better than Cade Klubnik, why did he sit behind him for 3 years, right?
And then
why did he sit behind him?
And you know what's funny is if Vizina comes out and looks better than Klubnik, some Clemson fans are going to be pissed off at Dabo.
That's it. Either those coaches, which I do argue that they have some issues there coaching or whatever, or Vizina is less than Klubnik.
Yes.
Okay. And the first year as a starter, people will be ready for him. He's not going to come out and surprise anybody. So that means he's actually got to play. Nah, I don't think so. Nope. I have them 6. I think I was being kind. I'm
gonna do these.
They could slip behind some other teams. So
I'm gonna give you guys some rankings real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay. So for me, I don't know if you're gonna ask this question, Drew, or not, but Miami, Louisville, and maybe SMU have a chance to get in the playoffs. There's 3 teams I think that have a chance to get in the playoffs. That's it.
Miami, SMU, and Louisville. Those are the top 3 for me.
They may get 2. They will not get 3. They won't get 3 in the playoffs.
Let's go through this, right? Let me give you my true top 5 quarterbacks in the ACC. Number 1's Darian Mensah. I think we've already established that. Number 2, Kevin Jennings, SMU. They got the second best quarterback. That's just facts. After that, I'll probably go CJ Bailey. Sure, CJ Bailey 3rd, and then I think Bo Pribula, Virginia is 4th.
After those first 2, I have
and then I'm gonna take Lincoln
guys that are interchangeable. Okay, all right, that's good. After the first 2, for me, There's like
You can
5 or
really
6
change, yeah.
guys that are interchangeable. So, and
Do
really,
you
it's
wanna hear
Mensa
my
and
5?
everybody else. Yeah, go ahead, Ace.
I got Menza, obvious. I got CJ Bailey. I got Jennings. I got the California kid. Just because I think he threw for damn near 3,500 yards.
Yeah, but he's on a
I
bad
had it.
team.
think
We're
Jennings-
going off. We're going
I
off
think
pure
Jennings is better
quarterback
than-
talent.
Jennings is better than CJ Bailey to me. Jennings is a freaking. He's ridiculous.
I give Jennings the bump.
Bailey
just
had
barely.
3,000 yards, 30 total touchdowns. You know, I think what he's done at NC State, Jennings wouldn't do. And then I have Vizina at 5 based purely on potential alone. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's a big.
I don't know.
It's a big what if.
It's a big what if, yes. But I mean, seeing the guy in high school, you know, I mean,
Ace,
I've been able to see this guy run
there
scrimmages.
is no way.
I think he can be pretty good.
There, you talking about Vizina?
Mhm.
Yeah, nah, not gonna happen. He's not in the top 10 in that conference.
I got to go based off what I've seen, and I've seen nothing really. So
I seen him
Seen
surprise a
nothing.
team that wasn't very good and throw for like
Seen him
300
do
yards
that.
in one
Yeah.
game. That's it.
yeah, I remember that game. Crap, Ace, I forgot. I remember that game against Furman when he threw for like 270 yards. God, forgot about that. Heisman, give it to him. I forgot because
You'll
I'm
see,
telling you,
bro,
don't
man,
mess with
Furman-
him. Don't mess
Furman-
You'll
with
see,
him.
buddy. You'll
If
see,
you
buddy.
can throw for 200 yards on Furman, dude, you've accomplished it, man. You have, you know. And you know what's crazy is even better. He threw for 200 yards on Furman in the second half after Furman was down by 40 points.
Yeah,
That's
you
even
know,
more impressive.
he wasn't moving the ball in the first half.
I mean,
But yeah, sure, he's gonna have no trouble with
Yeah.
whatever.
that was it right there.
No.
No, Tate Reynolds should take
All right.
over. I feel like it's probably what's going to happen.
We
but
are
that's
gonna
it.
go back to this tape
Play
and
is gonna be
see
good.
who
I'm telling
was
you, bro.
right.
I feel it, man. I feel it.
feel
Ace
it.
has them 2. You had them 4. I
Well,
had them
the
6.
problem is Ace goes to Clemson a lot and hangs out and stuff like that. He can't upset these people too much, all right? Or else he's not going to be allowed back there. He can't
But-
say anything bad about him, or he's going to,
But we all have.
I got some people that look at the podcast.
But we all have Miami as winning the ACC.
Yes.
Unanimous.
That's the easiest pick. Honestly,
Okay.
this is the only conference
Well,
where
we
there
weren't-
was the clear
We weren't
one.
unanimous. Yeah, we weren't unanimous in the Big 12. So
No.
we're probably not going to be unanimous with the ACC and or the SEC and the Big 10 either. So this is the only one.
Nah.
Clear number 1. And they are a top 10 team. They're number 7 in the preseason. They're a top 10 team. So
Okay.
no
Yeah.
doubt. And I'll tell you something else. And this is a gigantic if, but if Clemson goes down there and they slap around the fighting Lane Kiffins, okay, Wayne Tipton, if they slap around the fighting Wayne Tiptons, even when he was out at Alabama, Tom called him Wayne.
Yeah, I know.
But if they go down there and they beat LSU, okay, I would then say, okay, maybe they win 8 or 9 games. All right. Also, this is what I think happens. I think they're going to go down there and they're going to get floored. I think it's going to be like 40-something to 10. So, yeah, they're going to get Mack trucked. All right. They have
Be
a
insane.
predictable – here's the problem. They have a predictable defensive coordinator, okay? And you have whatever you think of Lane Kiffin, dude can run an offense, okay?
Yeah.
Dude can call plays. He can see trends. Doesn't mean he's a tough guy or a good guy or anything, but because I don't think he is. But dude can watch you for a couple of series and start picking you apart. And I just don't think Clemson will have enough in the scheme. So 41-10, that's my pick right now, unless something crazy changes. So
Interesting. I don't know. I think LSU wins. I think it'll be a close game. I don't think LSU is going to be as good as everybody says. When we get to the SEC, you'll see. I just don't think LSU's. I don't think it's going to be immediate. These guys are world
Clemson's
beaters.
losing that one by at least 2 touchdowns, but probably going to be bad for them. And then what happens? What happens if Vecina throws 3 picks? Okay, he ends up with like 120 yards of offense, and their defense made a lot of strides last year.
Don't they play at Death Valley? Don't they play at Clemson?
No, they play at home. They played at Clemson last year.
Wait, the Clemson LSU game. Where is that?
It's at LSU.
I think
it
it
was
is.
at Clemson last year. It's at
Oh my
Death
gosh,
Valley.
it was.
There you go. It's at Death Valley. You don't
Let's
have
go
to
to
know
it.
that. No, it's in Baton Rouge.
Yep. Clemson plays on the road.
I don't know why you guys had to check that. I told you already twice. Anyway, yeah. So, All right, Drew, what you got? What you got for us?
Tiger Stadium.
Nothing. That's it, man. We've been on about an hour. There's our preview.
I guarantee you the game will be played at Death Valley, and I guarantee you the Tigers will win. Now that I guarantee.
I'd say that's very likely.
I think
Let's
it
have a conference, so it don't matter.
Ace, that right there, Chief, what
The
you just said
Tigers-
with Ace, it just
The Tigers will be 1-0,
no, I
and the
get it.
Tigers will
No,
be
no,
0-1. Yeah.
I don't
Well,
wanna hear about
today
Salisbury's takeover game.
it's sausage, peppers, and onions. So it's going in the
All
crock
right,
pot.
hold
You
on.
can smell it right now.
All right, hold up.
It's in the crock pot right now. Put it in this morning.
And put it like this: Clemson loses to LSU. They beat Georgia Southern, North Carolina, Cali. They lose to Miami. They beat Charleston Southern, VT. They beat Georgia State. They beat Syracuse, and they beat Georgia Tech. They beat Duke, and they beat South Carolina. They go 10-2 and 9-1 in the conference. There you go.
I got
They make the
6-6. I got 6
And they
and
make the
6.
championship.
I got
6 and
10-2.
6.
I got
you
them
got
on
them
7-1.
8-1 in the conference.
They're
6 and
7-1.
8-1 in the conference.
6 and 6.
That makes the most sense.
Brother.
4-4. 6
Brother,
and 6.
Clemson only plays 8 conference games. They don't
Okay.
play 9.
Yeah. So 4-4, 4-4, 6 and 6.
They only lose to Miami in the conference. Everything else.
That's what I have.
They
I'm
lose
losing
to
LSU, though.
both. They lose to both SEC teams. Okay, it's a lock. And they lose to Miami, Virginia
They really
Tech,
have
Georgia
sucked
Tech,
against the
and
SEC
FSU.
recently, but overall. Anyways,
2-4 against us the last.
well, I think that's going to do it. That should be able to wrap this
All
up.
right.
We've been on
Bam.
for about an hour. So
Yep. Next week is the Big Ten.
Big Ten, go Hoosiers. Nah,
Yep.
I don't even know yet. I haven't.
I'm not going to spoil it, but I have already picked I have my top 5 in that conference. So, and we'll talk
right.
about more teams in that conference too, because they have more teams that are actually, worth talking about. So
It's true. It's true.
All right, it's unanimous, Miami. And then we are going to do, so what we're going to do is like a conference playoff, okay? Drew and I already talked about this. So we're going to seed, and we got to figure out who's 1 and 2, but like either the SEC or the Big Ten will be seeded 1, the other one will be seeded 2, and then the ACC will be seeded 3, and the Big 12 will be seeded. I'm sorry, the ACC will be seeded 4, and the Big 12 will be seeded 3. And then one's going to play 4, two's going to 3. So we're going to go down the line, each team, like each number 1. All right, and we're going to have 5 people on that day and 3 wins. And so it's like, for example, if it's the Big Ten versus the ACC, and let's say you have Ohio State, then it'd be Ohio State and Miami. Okay, and then whoever gets 3 out of the 5 votes gets 1, all the way down. Now the SEC has 16 teams. The ACC has 17. Okay, so we only go 1 through 16. So same thing. The Big Ten has 20 teams, so there'll only be 17 against the ACC or 16 again. And
Right.
then so we're going to go and we're going to give our reasoning, and then the winners will play each other. So most likely the SEC and the Big Ten, and then the ACC and the Big 12 will do the same thing with them as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick one magazine, okay, one publication. So it takes it away from us. Maybe like Athlon or Lindy's or Phil Steele or Sporting News, and we're going to go by their rankings. We're going to use the same one for all the conferences and go through, and then, that way we put 1 against 1, 2 against 2, all the way down. And then so we're going to have the ultimate conference winner. Drew, Ace, do y'all one of y'all want to give a plug for your cousin tonight?
Yeah, man. Tune in to Freedom 250, UFC Fight Night, and then Ultimate Fighter Season 34 tonight on Paramount Plus. And if you're watching this tomorrow or at a later date, you can still go on Paramount Plus and watch Ultimate Fighter Season 34. My cousin Anna Crutchfield, Anna Melisano, actually now,
Anna Melisano,
is one of the members, and she is on Team Bisping. She is on Michael Bisping's team. She's not on Cormier's. She's not on Daniel Cormier's team. She's on Bisping's.
She's on the Brit team.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what. She's on the blue team.
I call it the Brit team because he's but
and
go Anna.
Yeah, and apparently they did a preview one of her fights on the show that they were previewing. Bisping was wearing one of the bandanas too for her thing. So
really,
yeah. So
way to go.
There's a video. There's a video Ace needs to show you, Chief. It's her and this girl are facing off, and it's Cormier's girl, and Cormier's like, drown her, kick her ass, and then And then he's like, she ain't gonna be able to walk over without falling over here soon. Talking about Anna, and then Anna shook the girl's hand. Anna went up and shook Daniel's hand. Even Cormier's just talking shit to Anna. Anna went up and shook his hand. He goes, "You're so sweet. I'm sorry. I can't even be mad at you." And then he hugged her and whatever. Show him that it was funny.
Oh well.
Don't get them, Anna. Good job.
But that's it. That's episode 9 of the Tailgate Show. College football preview, ACC done. So coming up, Big 12 next week.
Take care of yourself. Take care of your family, your friends. Appreciate what you have and your loved ones, folks. If you listen, thanks for listening. Drop comments, whatever you want.
Yeah, we got on our we're up to over 50 views now on episode 8. It's more than all the recent ones.
Yeah,
so
college football brings more people around. Yeah, I mean, it's the material. College football is,
I did see that.
It, especially among our network of family and friends, in the South. It's huge. The Southeast especially. It is really huge, college football. So, but yeah, I expected that. So here we go. Hey,
ready?
So LSU is preseason 13 and Clemson is preseason 24. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be a good game.
It will.
So
it will be.
All right, guys, everybody. Appreciate you.
I'll see y'all. Ace, peace. Appreciate you coming on, man. I like regular occurrence of this.
I like having Ace.
Well, that's it. That's going to wrap it for Tailgate Show episode 9. See y'all next time.